Hola, everyone. Welcome to Open, coming to you from BronxNet Studios. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche, every Friday. And today we are celebrating some of the most memorable segments in 2022. This year has been filled with many interviews that have an overall pro consciousness theme, bringing light to the community at large. We covered everything from arts and entertainment, women empowerment, BIPOC, plus LGBTQ plus healing and alignment, entrepreneurship, and of course, great performances. And today, we're going to take a look at some of the most captivating interviews and unforgettable moments from 2022. So sit back y prepárate. All this and more is headed your way because now we are officially open. Hey, and welcome to Open, everyone. I'm Rhina Valentin, your host of Café con Leche, for the next hour, coming to you from BronxNet Studios again, inviting you to get social with us online, tweet us and follow us on Instagram at BronxNet TV, and like us on Facebook at Open BronxNet Television. And of course, while you're there, don't forget follow moi on Twitter, FB, Instagram, Insta Stories, and LinkedIn at Rhina Valentin. So this year on Open, we've had the opportunity to showcase different cultures through film, art, photography, and books, providing cultural diversity and the influence it has on one's creativity. This year, we highlighted some amazing film festivals, art exhibitions, while speaking to some prominent people. Let's take a look.
Everybody, I know I'm talking to the whole Bronx and beyond. My name is Lorraine, and Sarah Jones is the very nice young Black performer who you just met. She calls herself Black. It's fine. Anyway, we're so happy to be here. And I said before, I says to Rhina, I said, it's going to be like Halloween, but with voices instead of costumes. She's got both. So you win.
But today I'm, the duality is I'm Linda too. I'm Linda.
Well, the film is inspired by the play. It's not an adaptation of the play, but the play was sort of an interview style. It was very important to me to say, hey, these are the stories of real people, brilliant people, powerful, funny, strong, courageous women in the sex industry themselves. Maybe they, chose it for one reason or another, or they ended up in it, didn't choose it when they were young and they're surviving. There were so many compelling stories that you don't hear if you just watch an episode of SVU and you see a bunch of trafficking victims, but you never hear their voices or hear their story. So that was always a part of it.
Starting the series, it really made me realize how much going natural and seeing how much I've learned being natural, like what to do with my hair, how to clean it, style it, all that kind of stuff. It made me realize how much those 4 years really changed me. Even though I know it's like people say it's like it's just hair, it's just like it's more than that. Like for the past 18 years, I didn't know what my natural hair was, what it looked like. And so just really it was, like I said, it was like much of a trigger, like not knowing, like not remembering. So it was just really connecting the past of like becoming natural and to now, like see how much I've grown, see how much I love myself. And just wanted to like tell a story of what I've been through.
Every event have a very particular subject or theme that invite to think and to have a philosophical reflection of our social environment and socioeconomic realities. Of course, everything is tied up with our roots as Latin Americans in a country, in a foreign country. Abayala in this moment was the linkage with the Aborigines of the America, and Abayala was the way that they called the continent.
And so, in everything that you've experienced in life, what has been the most fulfilling accomplishment for you?
Well, there's several accomplishments. I think the Grammys is one of the 3 Grammys that I've received is something that means a lot to me professionally, because having the respect from your colleagues, your peers, that's something that's amazing. And then there's key moments, just pivotal moments in my career, the Broadway shows that I've done, the opportunity to have performed with musical legends like Frank Sinatra, with Luciano Pavarotti, and to have traveled the world, to have had an international career. When I really think about the scope of the things that I've been able, thank God, that I've been able to the opportunities that I've been able to take advantage of, I'm just lucky that's been a part of that, part of my life. But those I think those situations and those moments I think stick out. Those particular awards and those particular collaborations, because that's something that I never in my wildest dreams thought that was going to happen at the beginning of my career.
Speaking of intentionality, I noticed that the lead dancer is an Afro-Latina, and while Evita Perón is Argentinian, and you have Annabelle Lopez Ochoa actually choreographing this whole big production, and I understand it's her first evening length work, and so there's intentionality right there. Latina story, Latina lead, Latina choreographer, and then there's the reality that we are basically telling a story in a dance form that I think we've all been conditioned to see in a play.
Right.
Form.
Right. And so that is such a beautiful way of putting it. It is a new language to look at this story and this narrative. And it is a powerful language because it's a corporal language. So you need to sit through images more. There's no, I'm assuming things, because language can make us assume a lot. So this language is really about that power of the inner voice. And I love how you frame that with an Afro-Latina as the lead. It's not because she's Afro-Latina, it's because she's fierce and she was the role. If we're going to continue to say that art is for everyone, then everyone could be on the stage.
In what I've read thus far, what I get is this understanding of just knowing that when you live in a tight-knit neighborhood, right, what we consider to be, the bochinche, is really a means of news traveling without knowing the impact that it's having on the individuals who are sharing this information. And in your storytelling, it seems as though you're really out to just educate individuals into understanding that there's your immediate family, and then there's your community that acts as a distant family.
Yes.
And how one occurrence impacts like a whole community. And quite frankly speaking, we're in this place right now collectively in trying to figure out how to heal together.
Right. And I think that's what the last 2 stories are really trying to convey. Like, we have come together, we've helped this young woman heal, but in doing so, we've also healed ourselves, right? Like, we are reckoning with our own past, with whatever misdeeds we think we've done, whatever love we think we've, conquered, come together with. So really it's an opportunity to talk about like how we come together, how we help each other, how we heal together, right? In something that feels traumatic, maybe to the one person, but really the trauma resonates throughout the whole neighborhood.
5 of the 5 filmmakers, members of the Bronx Filmmaker Collective, Benedict Campbell, Hannah Leshaw, Alvaro Franco, and myself, Josefa Concepcion, with 2 short films of each one of us, very different genres, very different formats. We have films that were shot in Super 8 film and digital filmmaking, films that we have documentaries, we have drama, we have some romance, of course, and some even horror. but all of them touch somehow the queer experience. And most of them were shot in the Bronx.
Each place is different, and with each place, you become slightly different. Your worldview expands. Like this, what you're showing now, the tourist. These are photos I took of different places, but they're they're not of just the place. They're more of my reaction to the place, because I'm not there. I'm there just a brief time. So all I have is a moment or two of looking at what's in front of me and then deciding, how do I arrange this so that the feeling I have for it is transferred.
We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with the Best of Open 2022.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Best of Open Friday 2022. So Open Friday is all about empowerment and entrepreneurship, whether it's about supporting women, people of color, or LGBTQ plus alike, right? We're going to take a look back at the many ways we have committed to creating and holding space for all of our communities, shining a light on their causes, awareness, and growing business.
Was just tired of seeing all of the capitalization on pink and the monetization on stories, on breast cancer survivors, thrivers stories, and going to organizations, major organizations that are related to breast cancer that really aren't impacting the immediate community. And so 3 years ago, they started the Reclaim October campaign and raised, I can't remember how much money they raised the first year, but then last year, Mila and I joined the various Reclaim October teams, and we raised, I think it was around $17,000, almost $18,000, just through Instagram, just through survivors, thrivers, pre-vivers coming together and putting out our own stories and sharing our own education and raising money for 4 different nonprofits. And third year, we're back again.
That's kind of hot, right? Because back in the day, we used to have a place to go to after the clubs, and you guys are at 4 o'clock in the morning on the weekends. And not only that, you're looking like a spot that comes back from like the 50s.
Yeah. Actually, it was I never owned a restaurant before, so upon my research, I couldn't afford Manhattan, anything in Manhattan. So I was mainly looking in Brooklyn. And, unfortunately, I got to take advantage of the COVID situation, and this amazing property in Soho came available. And I was looking for more like of an indoor spot, but my spot is only takeout only. But it just reminded me of like retro vibes, and also like sort of like a Patsy's and Gino's, what Patsy's and Gino's is to Philadelphia, like that big late night spot, just takeout. So yeah, I came across the property, made an offer. Fortunately, I got it, and I just wanted that real retro fun vibe, for late night.
Let's talk about Boogie Down Grind. Let's talk about Boogie Down Grind, because that is like the trending spot to be at in the Bronx.
Well, I'm really proud of it, but it really does epitomize one of the reasons why I wrote this book, because reclaiming your community is about literally our approach to community development, which is a talent retention strategy. And when we started thinking about being real estate developers and why, it was because there really wasn't a whole lot of support, to really contain and capture all the talent that's from our community to stay here. And when we asked them, well, why are you leaving? Many of the things that they came back with was, well, bottom line is like, I want places cool to hang out in, with my friends and my people. And so they would list things like cafes and bookstores and, and restaurants. And we realized we weren't building that here. So we took a page from the business community, which is like, if you've got top performers in your company, you do what you need to do to keep them. And why don't we do that in our own communities, communities like the South Bronx or Native American reservations, or even, former, booming, towns that all white people lived in, but, now don't have any industry. So why don't we do that? And we realized that's, we had to check out like why we do that in certain types of communities, in America. And then I worked to create an approach to keep us here. And that's why the Boogie Down Grind evolved.
All my life, some women want these careers and these huge titles, and I wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be there for my children. I didn't want to miss a recital. I didn't want to miss a school trip. It may sound really simple, but there's many moms like us that feel that way. I know you with Charmvita, I'm sure you were present for everything. You tried not to miss anything.
No, I attend everything. I don't miss anything. As a matter of fact, I even volunteer. I'm the mom that's like, hey, do you need any stage hands? So yes, I get it. I can relate.
There you go. So we connect like that. So when I saw that I could be home for 5 days a week when they need me the most, and then just work 2 days out of the week doing birthday parties, because birthday parties are mostly on the weekends. So it just felt natural, and it felt like, wow, I get kids and I, my husband laughs at me, oh, you never grew up. And that's okay. I love my personality. Yeah, I want to grow up. Right?
I applaud you. Don't ever grow up. Yay! That's my community. The never grow up adults.
Exactly.
What inspired you to even create this collective?
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that question. So I started Black Radicals as an idea during my graduate program, and I study a very niche subfield of political science, Black politics. And I just found that within the, academic discourse and the syllabi and things of that nature, Black women and gender expansive people were not being represented. And that's a problem, right? Because if you have these revisionist histories or Black women and gender expansive people are not included, like you said before, these histories get passed down and passed on, right? And so that's why I started Black Radicals, and surprisingly, it has grown more than what I could ever imagine. So just thanking everyone for the support. We have various pillars within our mission, vision, values. So one, community conversations, just monthly events that we have, and we have several. We have our blog, Voices in Movement, where we literally interview like Black feminists from around the world, and just super excited about honoring Miss Denise Oliver Velez, leader of the Young Lords Party.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, she's so amazing. Miss Erica Huggins, leader of the Black Panther Party, and among many others. And then we have our, School for Black Feminist Politics teach-ins. And then we also have a partnership with the Asian American Feminist Collective and the Asian American Writers Workshop. And it's called the Black and Asian Feminist Solidarities Project. So we're just busy.
Let's talk about that whole concept of cake in a jar.
Yes. So actually the idea came from, so when I make an actual cake, there's usually cake scraps, because you kind of, to make the cake even, you kind of have to cut off the top, because sometimes they don't bake so evenly. So I came up with that idea when I was like, okay, I have all these cake scraps, either, I'd munch on them or they'd go to waste. So I kind of just got the idea of throwing them in a jar, those scraps. So I would do layers of cake. Then I'd add frosting. I'd put another layer of cake, frosting usually, or it's depending on the flavor. Sometimes I might add some crumbles in the middle, things of that sort. So it's kind of just layering each thing. That's how you see the different layers from the outside.
Share a little background on its form of also accommodating your religion, your religious background.
Yeah, so I was born a Muslim, and my religion has always been a big part of my life. So a lot of the clothes that I do make when it comes to my brand are sometimes more on the modest side. That's just because that's how I personally dress. Of course, anyone is able to buy it. I've had plenty of non-Muslims buy from me accessories, clothing, other handbags. It's just the way that you decide to style it yourself, of course. You can have it modest. You don't need to have it modest. Of course, it's whatever you want. But yeah.
Sharing a little bit more about these services that Sage offers as a community, for the community as a whole.
Hi, well, my name is Sharice Sharif. I'm the program coordinator with Sage. So Sage is the largest program for older adults, LGBT. And we focus on caregiving, we focus on care management, we focus on congregate meals, we focus on art, culture, and a very host of activities that will help them also age in place, but also have activities that's geared for LGBT and older adults. So it's a combination. We do all of our creative things together. We do art together. We make jewelry together. There's really nothing besides like supportive groups for LGBT. We have a social group from LGBT. We have a once a month, what we call it, the Rainbow Social that we just started up, where there's a little bit of everyone in there. But this premise started from the LGBT community. It started that as we age, sometimes we're not going to clubs. So we create that environment of food, love, music together right here at the center.
So Women's Empire Incorporated is a not-for-profit organization that was originally started off in Brooklyn. And I have decided to transition some of that work in the Bronx because that's where I work, play, and live. And a lot of our work surrounds 5 empowerment pillars that we have believed is important to empower women on. So we cover topics on health and wellness, educational advancement, financial empowerment, entrepreneurship. And one of our biggest topics is the end of violence against women, which brings us to our domestic violence work. So we're focusing mainly on that healthy relationship piece because it allows you to take introspect and look back and assess the relationship, not just from obviously if you've been physically, hit or, direct violence that way, that's very clear. But sometimes violence come in very subtle forms, and being able to recognize what is a healthy relationship is very important as a foundational piece for any relationship, but especially for folks who are in domestic violence situations.
Right. We have to take a quick break, but we'll be right back with the Best of Open Friday 2022.
Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost in.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Come on. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Best of Open Friday 2022. So it's important to take care of the mind, body, and soul. It's our first home. And so here on Open, we've mindfully showcased the natural ways to help heal the body through alternative modalities, reflecting in gratitude with our guests who brought healing, paz, prosperity, y amor to our everyday lives. Let's take a look.
Here in my mothership where I reside, and it was birthed out into the world this summer. And the show is an incredible 1-hour medley of what it means to heal your home, like all the basics, like what does healing your home even mean? How do you heal your home? How do you incorporate spiritual cleansing practices? How do you use color to change your mood, to bring harmony into your life? How do you incorporate plants and their medicine to help you improve your outlook, to help you feel more grounded and connected to nature, and so much more? It's such a great show. Oh, and at the end, there's even a family meditational moment that you can experience. So whether you're 5 years old or 55, whether you're your first time meditating or you're a seasoned meditator, you're going to be able to tap in at the end and hang out with me and learn like how to make these cosmic connections.
What, I guess, inspired you to find this collective? Because I also noticed that nobody takes complete ownership over it, which I think is really lovely.
Yeah. And you know, people are always like, oh, you own Minka. I was like, I don't own Minka. It almost feels like Minka owns me. I'm working for Minka because, you know, as of anything spiritually in nature, I look at our business as its own entity, that it has its own mission. And Minka's mission is to make sure that people of color are seen as a thought leaders, teachers, and a way shower. I started Minka, quite honestly, being frustrated, going to different wellness and healing spaces. All the teachers who are teaching the arts were European descent most of the time. And students, really people of color, I myself being probably only one of a few Asians. And if I were to look for Black, Brown, and Indigenous people, they may not be sitting in a space, right? And these teachers are elevated to be a teacher and who knows things. And I saw a lot of lost in translation because people who were teaching these arts were not coming from the understanding of the sensitive, nuanced cultural information. And one, I thought it was a detriment to the holistic arts in general. And then two, that I know that there were so many people of color who teaches these things that who needs to be put to the forefront of this field.
Healing Black women. So let's start with how that started and when it started.
So Healing Black Women started in February 2019. This was at the end of me having a major depressive episode. So bipolar disorder, you go through manic episodes and depressive episodes. And I was coming off of a very long, hard to treat episode. And I was exhausted. And in my exhaustion and frustration, I wrote an article called Dear Depressed Black Women, I Understand, just really pouring my heart out to just understanding what it's like to try to get up every day and go to work and still come home and just crashing, not having any energy, you know, putting on that face that I'm okay and I'm just ripped apart on the inside. And when I wrote that article, I was like, I have to do something more. And when I did, I thought about healing Black women, and I was like, social media has always been familiar to me. And so I just started doing like 60-second videos. After 2 weeks, I said, I don't want to do this by myself. So I reached out to people that I knew that were already in the wellness space to join me, and they joined me as contributors. And we later ended up doing a virtual conference. We had over 200 people attending. And I said, you know what? We launched our website, we need writers on board. And so I had a group of ladies come in to decide to be writers with us. And I was like, let's start doing virtual panel discussions, really hammering out the things that we are dealing with as women in this space. And COVID hit, and the summer of 2020 was just brutal for us. And it was an honor for me to be able to hold space for us.
You've been able to sustain these past 3 years, and how your services have assisted very many people, and still is, because this is actually crucial right now.
Yes, the pandemic hit us really hard. On the business side, I was closed for a few months actually. But as soon as they said that businesses were able to open, I think I had even more patients come in
because a lot of people during that time realized that health is super important. People were able to go inwards and see that, there are a lot of things that they were not utilizing, right? They were just living day by day and just like working and not taking care of themselves. So I had a lot of people call me and say, I need acupuncture or I need cupping. And so I'm here, I'm open for everyone to help them in their healing journey.
Talk about that journey really quick.
Certainly. So I would attend a lot of events in Brooklyn and in Manhattan, and I was always encountering people who lived in the Bronx. And I said, enough is enough. We need to have some things in the Bronx. I don't want to always get on the train and go under tunnels, for these kinds of events and experiences. So I knew a lot of holistic healers that were in the Bronx, but then I would see them doing events in Manhattan and Brooklyn. So basically, in 2012, there was a shop that wanted to do a health and wellness event. So I was what you call a professional volunteer. I volunteered at a lot of different events. So I said, okay, this is going to be my first one. And I just contacted the different practitioners that I know. So we had yoga demonstrations, we had foot reflexology, we had massage. And what I remember about that day in January was that the owner said that they were glad that it snowed because they didn't think they could accommodate any more people. And from then on, Bronx Holistic Healing was born.
What's in store for this year's Visiones?
Yeah, well, I think you're absolutely correct. I mean, we've been, just to kind of get back to the meditation circle, we started that in March 2 years ago when COVID first hit. And, we were all in need of connection and community and spaces where we could come together and support each other and help one another in dealing with issues around isolation and all the things, grief and all the things that were happening. Unfortunately, that still continues, right? I mean, we're still dealing with many of those challenges, and our mental and emotional health have been extremely impacted by all of these challenges that we have been experiencing, on top of all of the injustices that have happened, particularly over the last 2 years. So we have remained consistent in offering these spaces for women, and Visiones has been, a staple workshop that offering for De Almas, and particularly to begin the year with an intention, right? To begin the year intentional about how we want to move forward for our lives in the next year, right? And what that means is that we have to kind of think about and look at what has happened in the year before and begin to kind of release some of that, heal some of that, forgive some of that, right? In order to move forward, feeling the sense of freedom and a lightness of being and hope and all of the things that we want to experience in our lives.
This past June of 2022, La Reina del Barrio Inc., with the support of the Mayor's Office Neighborhood Safety Initiatives, presented Transformation Stations, Urban Healing Amongst Elements in Marcus Garvey Park, a free outdoor event that offered bite-sized hands-on lessons of how to incorporate alternative healing modalities into everyday life. Participants experienced a 15 minutes rendition of musical tents hosted by yours truly. They learned practices ranging from empowering yoga by Albert Hernandez, Light Your Way candle making with Isabel Rojas Lopez, Cocoon of Transformation by Rebecca Gitana Torres, Energy Clearance, the Sacred Art of Smudging by Iris Soto, Balancing Your Chakras with Aromatherapy by Joanne Jimenez, My Mandala World Art, A Journey to Our Inner Selves with Jeanette Torruella, all while listening to the global vibrational sounds of DJ De La Ceiba, accompanied by the live drumming of Dr. Drum. All facilitators specializing in these respective healing art forms guided and provided tools to help realign mind, body, and soul. And to culminate our collective day of healing in community, We closed ceremonially in a sacred circle honoring the sun, the grass, the trees, each other, absorbing the elements of our environment together. We have to take a quick break. Bobby C's Best of Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how's sketches? Ready? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You didn't turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutVaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
STEM is everywhere. Like here, behind the scenes of The Walking Dead.
When we break down clothes, we tumble it with trisodium phosphate, rock salt, and dish detergent.
We stitched together images of our model and created a 3D set that can be walked through in a VR headset.
We're able to turn 12 walkers into 1,000 walker boards.
STEM can create new worlds on and off the screen. What will you make with STEM? Get inspired at shecanstem.com.
It's been a great year for us as the world of sports took another circle around the calendar. This morning, we highlight some of our favorite conversations with some of the most notable names in the business. We begin with a familiar voice from one of the greatest sports films of all time.
I know you have so many of those great mementos in your office there, things that are reminders of that great time for you back in '92 when you were gearing up to make the film for '93. What's your favorite?
This is the
so
original plaque from the announcer's booth in the movie, in the beginning and the end.
So awesome. And you took that picture, right?
I did. Yeah. It was the last day. And it was really after one of the last shots. I think one of the last things we were shooting was them disappearing at the end of the movie. It kind of worked out that way. And once we got done, it was a really weird moment because these guys just wanted to keep working and keep playing and never leave. It was like, Peter Pan stuff. It was amazing. And I said, all right, I had to do something. And I knew I needed to take a picture. I said, I better come over here. And if you look at their faces, I mean, nobody's, smiling like we won the World Series. They seem content to a certain extent, but it's like, this guy is like, I don't want to go home. I want to stay here and play baseball, make this movie. They all have that kind of wistful, best summer of your lives look on their faces. And I think I took 2 or 3 of those with a big format Hasselblad, and that one worked,
A fantastic director, an awesome narrator, and a coming-of-age film we'll never forget. Don't we all miss those endless days on the sandlot? On the gridiron, this local product, by way of Fordham football, seems to turn every football field into his personal playground, doing so these days in the National Football League.
It's just amazing to think, from Rose Hill and Fordham in the Bronx to this amazing stardom in the NFL. It's just well deserved.
I appreciate it, bro. It's definitely surreal. I feel like I came a long ways. Very proud, but also just very grateful for the journey that I've been on so far, man.
Yeah, Chase, I mean, I saw on socials, I thought it was a great tweet that you had put out there. You talked about really the blessing of getting through your rookie deal. I was wondering if you thought it was even more surreal that you get so much love from some of your teammates, guys like Kyler Murray and Kenyon Drake, regarding this new deal.
I think just as I think about it, man, about my time and where I've come from and coming from Fordham and how it's molded me as a player and as a man. Just to going back on the tweet first, I was just sitting down with Kirk. Kirk's like my best friend that I've gained while I've been on the NFL. And just to see all the faces that we saw in and out of the building of Arizona Cardinals, and to be able to look back on it and, be the only 2 draft picks from that class to actually make it through the rookie deal, and to look around the NFL and just see how many guys don't make the rookie contract, man. It was just something that, I was very grateful for, bro. I remember coming out of Fordham, kind of nervous, didn't really know what to expect, didn't really know how good I was yet, just because, the level of competition and hearing that. And I think still at that point, it was still kind of early on from the FCS really transitioning to the NFL, like actually seeing first round picks from the FCS, that was about 2 years after I left that started really happening. But so just to, come from that school, like everything that I've been through at that school, it was just so surreal for me to, make it through my rookie year and to be able to go through free agency and understand and to really experience, like, there's guys that go through free agency and, they kind of worry about, is someone going to offer me a job? That's the reality of the business. But from my end of it, just to be able to literally line up teams and say, okay, do I like this team? Do I like this team? Like that was a real cool moment for me, bro. And just a very proud moment for me, like that hard work pays off.
After last season, Chase deserved a big payday, spending time this season with Miami and Denver before injuries cut things short. Fordham has a knack for producing talented athletes and amazing students. Oftentimes, we featured some of its best student athletes like Kelly Bright. Bright was a softball sensation. Now she's one of the creators behind HBO's Hard Knocks.
I just love women in sports. I mean, I grew up, my mom played in college. She played basketball at Connecticut College. She was a coach. My dad's a huge supporter of female athletics. So it's just been instilled in me since I was a young girl that, girls should be at that level playing field. We deserve the attention. We deserve the fans. We deserve the media, the opportunities that men do. And this being the 50th anniversary of Title IX, something that has had such an impact on my life. When it came to making my capstone thesis project, I couldn't think of a better subject to focus on. And Bobby, of course, you were my advisor, so a lot of credit goes to you in steering me in the right direction and getting me some of those connections that I got to interview. But those conversations with some of those women who are in the industry and who have done much more than I have at this point were really special. And I huge shout out to them for being willing to talk to me. And most of those conversations, it's a 26-minute piece. I think each of them is only featured for, I don't know, like 6 minutes max, but most of those conversations were 2-3 hours long, and they were so open and candid about the state of the industry. And I really learned a lot from them. And I think something I really took away from each of those conversations was how passionate each of them was in terms of giving back. And I think Isis Young had a quote about pulling as she climbs and wanting to help future generations of female reporters, female athletes, female coaches, whatever it may be, female analysts, and wanting to continue that cycle and grow that base. That really stood out to me. And the fact that all of them were willing to help me with this project was really cool. But I also learned a lot going through this. I didn't know how drastic still, even though it's been 50 years of Title IX, how drastic some of those gaps are, especially just between representation in terms of gender in the industry that I'm about to go into. I mean, it definitely has improved significantly. I mean, you just look at if you turn on ESPN now, there's usually at least one, female on the screen, which is really cool to see, especially women of color. I mean, some of my favorite analysts and reporters, Maria Taylor is one of my favorites. Mina Kimes is another. They've just grown into popularity, and it makes me extremely excited for the future, because I really think that's just the beginning. I truly think we still have a long way to go, but we've come so far. And just knowing how, again, like I mentioned, how passionate these women are in furthering what's already been established, I think we've just seen the beginning in terms of women in sports. But this project was super fun and something I put my whole heart and soul into. So it's been so touching how positive the feedback has been to those who have seen it. I highly recommend people do check it out, because again, like the more coverage and more attention women in sports get, the better. But it was something I'm really truly proud of. And Bobby, again, thank you for being a part of it as well.
When it comes to weaving stories together, you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone as good as Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and author Buzz Bissinger. The author of the critically acclaimed Friday Night Lights sat down with me in the Sports Corner for a look at his career and his latest book.
I started thinking to myself that maybe, just maybe, that the Mosquito Bowl is the greatest game ever played.
Yeah, you've probably seen this. All these books come out. The greatest game ever played, the most important game ever played. That'll be on the cover of the book. It wasn't the greatest game ever played. I mean, the score was 0-0. They didn't have pads or anything. They did beat the crap out of each other, and a lot of guys got hurt. But that was part of the fun. I mean, they were physical. They were physical guys. But if you look at the later repercussions, it was without a doubt the most tragic game ever played. You have 65 vibrant young men playing football, having a ball, having a blast for 3 hours doing something that they loved. It was on December 24th of 1944, which was on purpose. It was part of bringing the United States to these guys living 7,000 miles away in the middle of, in the middle of nowhere. And then 15 of them die 4 or 5 months later. That to me is the most tragic game ever played, when initially is one of the most beautiful and one of the most improbable. I mean, come on, a football game, a really simulated football game on Guadalcanal, in the Pacific when it's hot and there are mosquitoes and crabs and alligators. It was surreal.
I would say if it's not the greatest, it's definitely the most improbable game ever played.
Yes, I appreciate that. I think that's true.
Another year of only the best in sports. Thank you for always being our biggest fans and for coming along for the ride. I'm Bobby C. Stay with us.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut, the one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink, or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking, now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed, better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead, catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Man, it's lonely. Like, going through life lonely.
There is the therapeutic aspect of music, just expressing how you feel. I'm going to talk to Howie about his feelings, make it into a song.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
Hey, and welcome back to the Best of Open Friday 2022. Now, it wouldn't be open if we didn't have our Open Artist Spotlight every week. It's the most anticipated part of the show where we highlight some of the most talented people from the Bronx and New York City. This year, we have some amazing groups, dancers, and singers. Let's take a look at our 2022 Open Artist Spotlight in review.
I seen you with your words, preferred you at your best, yeah. Give me one back.
They label me toxic when I was dope sick and crazy. There's a blacklist and I'm on it. I ended my romance and danced with the devil. So wait, please, I'm begging you, let me do better. Let me button my sweater, get a job and remember 9 to 5 paychecks, but honestly, I hope we're all in the matrix. And hopefully I can plug in, restart and play it.
Lately for my eyes. Tell me that I am on your mind, half as much as you're on mine. Just a bit of the tide, used to not thinking about you. Used to just trying to follow through.
I promise I'll be cooler. I swear I will be smoother. I'll wear my leather jacket, I'll be more enthusiastic, bring a better sense of humor. Ha, I promise I'll be cooler. No, I won't be no loser. Blow your mind with conversation, won't believe the transformation. I promise I'll be cooler. Cooler?
Water once drained from the Bronx River, once bottled in plastic, now dumped into oceans and developing countries. Salt, my tears. The Arctic finished melting 8 years ago. Flint, Michigan's tap water tasted like seawater, and 4 years ago, the South Bronx's tap water tasted like seawater. Salt. I want to swim.
Ella se me fue, ella me dejó, ella se me fue, ella me dejó, solo y sin amor, solo y sin amor. Same as any other, I got blown away, never to recover. Oh, fatal love, it was fatal love. Oh, fatal love, been overcome. Fatal love.
Am I not good enough? Can't seem to let you go. Why am I not good enough? Can't seem to let you go. Tiempo, otro tiempo. Sin mucha pretensión, con bastante inspiración, sin tantas amarguras y con menos ataduras. Sin mucha pretensión, con bastante inspiración, sin tantas amarguras y con menos ataduras.
I'm beautiful and intellectual, plus I'm close to God, so my presence spiritual. I cook bomb food, everything about me bomb too. It's true. So anyone who's blind to the light gets the deuce. Anyone who's blind to the light gets the deuce. Anyone who's blind to the light gets the deuce.
Digita di ya yo ginta tik digita sahajata digita vedha santa di.
Mary singing about these comments, but I've never traded. I watched the worry hated until I demonstrated what it takes to make it in this rap game. Better shoot your dice, it's a crap game. Crabs in the barrel, lost in the wonderland. Word to Lewis Carroll, played every part in every scene like Meryl Streep. Check my credit sheet, savage won't repeat. The poet birthed the recipe that you youngins ain't stealing from my plate. Go get you staked, rappers imitate what they can't create. I'm knocking on golden gates, holding heaven stakes. Hope you can relate.
That is our show today, mi gente. Thanks to all our guests for coming through this past year. And thank you to our viewers for always tuning in throughout all these years. It continues to be my honor to serve our community. If you missed any part of the show, you can check out this episode throughout the weekend, 24 hours a day at BronxNet.tv. I'm Rhina Valentin, and from all of us here at Open, may the universe continue to provide paz, prosperity, y amor, and bueno, here's to tipping our hats to 2022. Bye-bye, 2022. Have a happy, healthy new year.